What's up? It's your girl Anna Talks Wrestling here. Welcome to my channel. Lace up your boots, hit the subscribe and like button, and let's get ready to dive deep into everything pro wrestling. Okay, you guys, we're gonna dive right into it. We're gonna talk about the men's Money in the Bank coming up this weekend. I'm so pumped, so hyped to see this match and see who's gonna win Mr. Money in the Bank. We're gonna go through each of these men and we're gonna talk about the worst possible outcome and the best outcomes that can happen from this men's Money in the Bank match. So when looking at all 6 of these men, you gotta sit back for a second and think, okay, who is the worst possible person that could win this Money in the Bank? Like, what is the worst possible outcome that can happen that nobody cares about, that the fans don't care to see, and just doesn't really make sense in storyline? I mean, you guys see the people here. You have Seth freaking Rollins. We have Solo Sikoa. We have Grande, Americano, Andrade, Penta, and last but certainly not least, LA Knight, right? So when looking at all of these men, immediately the worst possible outcome, I mean, it speaks for itself, you guys. It really truly does. I don't even really need to say it. It's obviously Andrade. Sorry to say that, but like Andrade, like where in the world would storyline make sense for him to have the Money in the Bank? And truthfully, would anybody really care to see him? Let's be so for real right now. Let's be honest here for a minute, you guys. Andrade, nobody really gives a crap about you winning the Money in the Bank. Sorry to say, nobody cares to see you with that briefcase, to see you win a title, and to even be somebody who could win the title right now. Nothing against him. Like, yes, he is a tremendous pro wrestler. He's great in the ring, but the man needs to work on his mic skills. The man needs a little bit more charisma before he can be Mr. Money in the Bank. Now, I know winning the Money in the Bank is a huge privilege to have because, one, obviously you can cash in on the title at any time, any place, on anyone with any title, right? Let's not forget that you can win not only the WWE Championship, but now the World Heavyweight Championship. Or if you even want to go to the mid-cards, you can win the Intercontinental Championship or the United States Championship. Like, having the Money in the Bank makes it so you have a chance at a title. Doesn't matter where, doesn't matter when, doesn't matter who. But let's be honest here, you guys. Andrade winning the Money in the Bank is not needed. Money in the Bank is just flat out not interesting. He doesn't need to cash in for the WWE Championship against someone like John Cena. He just doesn't. Right? The World Heavyweight Championship against Jey Uso, not needed. If you want to go down to the mid-card titles, now we're talking about Jacob Fatu. Nobody cares to see him against the United States Champion, Jacob Fatu. Okay, maybe, just maybe you can make an argument about the Intercontinental Champion because Dirty Dominic Mysterio is holding it. Sure, but still nobody really gives a crap. Like, don't put Andrade and Dominic Mysterio against each other right now. That's the last thing they need. They need some help before they can be facing each other. They need some real star power. They need some work before they can be facing each other. Right now, that is not what's needed. They both could use some help on their entertainment skills. Let's be real. So, Andrade, I'm sorry. Man, you just do not make sense to win the Money in the Bank. The fans are not really going to care. The crowd's going to be pretty disappointed. Money in the Bank is supposed to be a huge thing. Andrade is just not there for it yet. I understand the Money in the Bank's meant for somebody, you know, the underdog, somebody who just can't seem to get his hands on that title. I understand that, but if Andrade ever wants to hold a title, he needs to do a lot more work before he can even get his hands on a title, because let's be so for real, if Andrade won the Money in the Bank, he's just gonna fail a cash in anyway. Nobody wants to see a failed cash in. Okay, I don't really see any other arguments to that. If anybody has an argument to why Andrade should win, hit me with it because I'm so curious to hear it. Next up, let's talk about who the second worst is to win the Money in the Bank. Now, this one was a little bit tricky. The second worst man to win the Money in the Bank. Now, I was going back and forth with this one because I'm not really sure where I kind of land on this thought. There was a couple people I was going back and forth with, and unfortunately, I have to land on Seth freaking Rollins. I mean, I have no interest to see him with the Money in the Bank. That is somebody who does not need the Money in the Bank. Sure, he might be a great addition to the match. Okay, I'll give you that. Like, Seth freaking Rollins is amazing in the ring, amazing on the mic, an amazing entertainer. Like, he knows how to tell a story, and he always tells great stories. But this whole faction thing with Paul Heyman, the Wiseman, which, by the way, if you watch my last video, I don't understand that. I don't understand the whole Paul Heyman, Seth freaking Rollins coming together and making and building a group, building a faction. Like, it's not making sense to me. And it's not needed. Like, Seth freaking Rollins is such an incredible performer, entertainer, pro wrestler on his own. Like, Paul Heyman is not meant for a guy like Seth freaking Rollins. Seth freaking Rollins does not need a manager in his corner. He doesn't need somebody advocating for him. He doesn't need somebody speaking for him. Like, he can handle himself. It's Seth freaking Rollins, you know? He's the visionary, the revolutionary. He's Seth freaking Rollins. Need Paul Heyman. So if you could imagine the Money in the Bank briefcase being in this group, why should it be with somebody like Seth freaking Rollins? If they wanted to give it to somebody in the group, then maybe they should have put somebody like a Bron Breakker into the match. Somebody who could arguably need it. However, I'm not a fan of Bron Breakker right now. I feel like he's really fell off since he lost the Intercontinental title and joined this group. Like, it was so cool to see him join the group, yes, with Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman, but like, he is not speaking on the mic anymore, and that is such a horrible call and mistake on WWE to not let Bron Breakker speak on the mic, because he was absolutely killing it on the mic as the Intercontinental Champ. Like, he does not need Paul Heyman speaking for him. I don't know if they're trying to make him like a Brock Lesnar, but it's just not working. I don't like it because Bron Breakker can handle himself. Incredible in the ring. He's a freaking monster, a beast athlete in the ring. He can handle himself on the mic. He can cut promos. He can tell a story. He's got so much charisma. I mean, he's a Steiner, for crying out loud. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to handle himself. Why Paul Heyman is in the picture, I don't know. It makes no sense. If they could just remove Paul Heyman, then I'd be a little bit happier with this whole briefcase potentially being in this faction or this group. Paul Heyman is there, and he's going to stay there. He's going to remain there for God knows what reason. Anyways, Seth freaking Rollins does not need the briefcase. Bron Breakker is somebody in the group who needs it more, right? Because Seth Rollins arguably had the best cash-in ever in the history of pro wrestling. Like, at WrestleMania when he cashed in, that was an amazing moment. You can't recreate that, nor do you need to. Sometimes when you have that one amazing moment with something like the Money in the Bank, you don't need the Money in the Bank ever again. I mean, Seth freaking Rollins is somebody who can get himself in the picture with the title. Like, he's gone for the World Heavyweight Championship. He's been in feuds for it. He doesn't need the Money in the Bank. So the Money in the Bank doesn't need to be on somebody that can get themselves into a title picture, into a main event picture. That is just not Seth freaking Rollins. He's bigger and better than that. Not to say the Money in the Bank isn't big and great. It is. But it's meant for these underdogs. Like I said, the man who can't seem to get himself in the main event picture, in the title picture, like that's what that's made for. And Seth Rollins is just not that guy. He's one of the biggest superstars WWE has. So him being in the Money in the Bank, absolutely stupid. Not really for it. I mean, heck, you guys could have put Big Bronson Reed in it. That would have made more sense. I mean, the man obviously needs a little bit push. He just came back he just returned after an injury. Obviously he needs some improvement on his mic skills. Paul Heyman being with somebody like that makes sense. But the whole entire group, more than half the group can speak for themselves and represent themselves. Paul Heyman does not need to be there. Bronson Reed is somebody that could use a Paul Heyman. Yes, I can argue that. So maybe he needs the briefcase more than somebody like Seth freaking Rollins. Bron Breakker, Bronson Reed, either one of those choices would have been better. Probably Bron Breakker, just because he does have a little bit more connection with the crowd right now, since Bronson Reed just returned. So that places me with the second worst possible outcome with the Money in the Bank briefcase. Now, I know you guys are probably thinking, oh my gosh, this group, this faction is so cool. Like, this is the best thing happening right now. Okay, I get your point. Like, having a briefcase in there might be kind of cool for a second, sure. But think about the bigger picture. It doesn't make sense. when someone like Seth Rollins can just get himself a title shot if he wanted it. It does not make sense. And you can try to argue otherwise. It's not the best thing that could happen. If you guys think differently, please do let me know because I would love to hear it. I'm so curious to see your arguments on this so I can understand, okay, maybe there's hope somewhere, because as of right now, I don't have much hope with Seth Rollins winning it. Seth Rollins can make anything great because that's who he is. But right now, with Paul Heyman in his corner, Paul Heyman speaking for him, it's just not for me. Not doing it. Not loving it. Totally not for it. So let's talk about the third worst possible outcome right here. Okay. This is one I kept going back and forth with. Honestly, between Penta and Solo Sikoa. And I was going back and forth with these two is because, okay, let's be real here. Penta with that briefcase, with that walk he's got, would be so hilarious. Like, seeing Penta with the briefcase with that walk would be so great. But in storyline, does it really make any sense for Penta to win it? Like, the man just came into the WWE. He doesn't need the briefcase just yet. He needs to work his way up a little bit. You know, like, the crowd loves him. I understand that he's got charisma. He's an incredible wrestler. But we need to do some work with him before he can be holding something like the Money in the Bank. In terms of storyline, it makes no sense for him to win it. It really doesn't. I think they should continue Penta and El Grande Americano more before Penta gets something like the briefcase. He needs to prove himself a little bit more on such a big platform, because I could see the crowd being happy that Penta won for maybe a few minutes there, but afterwards, I don't think anybody's really going to care as much. So with that being said, I had to put Penta at third worst because it just doesn't make sense for him to win the briefcase just yet. Maybe next year we could talk about it. This year, absolutely not. Sorry, you're a great pro wrestler, but you got to prove yourself a little bit than just showing up and being who you were in AEW. You got to show that you're a WWE superstar. That's how I feel. If you got an argument to that, please do let me know, because I want to know where in the world it would make sense for Penta to cash in. Like, should he cash in against Jacob Fatu? Does that even seem intriguing? Not really, because everybody loves Jacob Fatu, and Penta obviously is a face too. That would make no sense. Should Penta cash in against somebody like Dirty Dominic Mysterio? Okay, that's something you can argue a little bit, but do we really want the Money in the Bank to be used for a mid-card title? Now we're talking about WWE Champion John Cena and World Heavyweight Champion Jey Uso. Obviously, Penta does not fit in with those two right now. So if Penta won, he'd be going for somebody like Dirty Dominic Mysterio. I mean, that would make the most sense. And I don't think that's the best use of the briefcase. It just isn't. That being said, like this briefcase is used for big moments, and we don't want to see a failed cash in, and we don't want to see it being utilized in a way that that nobody really cared about the briefcase. Now, I'm a little afraid because there's rumors that Triple H does not really care about the Money in the Bank as much, which makes absolutely no freaking sense to me, because the Money in the Bank is incredible. It's one of the most genius ideas that is in pro wrestling. Like, please, let's not ruin it by giving failed cash-ins or taking it away from us. Like, it's incredible. Like I said, there's been so many moments. I mean, think about Seth freaking Rollins in the main event at WrestleMania when he cashed in and became WWE champion. Even somebody like a Damian Priest, somebody who was such an underdog, who we never could have pictured winning the title. He ran in at WrestleMania and won it, and won the title. Like, these are such crucial moments in pro wrestling that they need to continue to keep happening. And the way we can continue this happening is by having the Money in the Bank, the briefcase, being utilized the best way with the best possible pro wrestler that you can find on the roster. So, Penta, you are not that person just yet. Maybe one day we can talk about it, but as of right now, no. So that being said, like I said prior, I was going back and forth with Penta and Solo Sikoa. So Solo Sikoa lands in my top 3 best people to win the Money in the Bank. At number 3 is Solo Sikoa, the used to be tribal chief, the man who was in charge of the new bloodline, and let's be so for real, the man who carried the story of the bloodline within this past year. Really proven himself as a pro wrestler when he first came in. I don't know if you guys remember, but he wasn't all that great. He wasn't it. And the way he's built himself up, he can handle himself now on the mic, and he's getting better in the ring, but his mic skills has improved so much, like massively has improved. That's somebody who should be rewarded, no doubt. Really truly believe that if you prove yourself on the main roster and on the grandest stage of them all, which is the WWE, you should get some sort of reward. You have earned that right to get that next place in line, whether that's for the title, you know, whether that's for a main event spot. So Sikoa has really proved himself. At first, I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's just handed the spot. Oh, he's just handed the spotlight next to Roman Reigns. Like, what's going on? I understand. There was a little bit of a debate between that, but I understand that part. He came in, he kind of just got the spot, having to work his way up as much as others may have, but he's really proven himself. He's truthfully been super impressive. And I really think that WWE and the creative team have really taken a step back as soon as he started to shine, as soon as he started to make a connection and an impact on the fans and the crowd. Why they did that makes no sense to me. You know, they brought in Jacob Fatu. I know he's so loved by the crowd, but like, let's not ignore the pro wrestlers you were trying to push and become superstars. Let's not just completely put that to the side just because a new guy came in that you decided is better. Somebody else stepped in and made their debut, and the crowd loves Jacob Fatu. I know that, but they should not be shying away from Solo Sikoa. He has something. He has some sort of connection to the crowd, whether they're booing him or cheering him. Obviously, mostly booing him. They should really take advantage of that, because this heel work that Solo Sikoa has been doing is absolutely incredible. Like, every week he started to become a little bit better and better, and I really truthfully feel that with him. I truthfully feel that with him, they can build a superstar, potentially, for sure. I mean, and there's story to tell with Solo Sikoa. I mean, think about it. If he won the Money in the Bank, he won that briefcase, he has a couple different options here. Let's first off talk about the mid-card title, the United States Championship with Jacob Fatu. I mean, he can hold that briefcase and cash in on Jacob Fatu and win the title from Jacob. How incredible would that be? I mean, that story writes itself. That story is already written. That's incredible. WWE doesn't even have to do much work for that, because the work has already been done for it. I think it would be so genius for Solo Sikoa to win the briefcase. Would the crowd be thrilled and cheering for him? Maybe not. But the storyline, the future, in the long run, that makes the most sense. Give it to Solo Sikoa, somebody who can even tell a story with a world championship. Main event Jey Uso. That story also writes itself. That's the World Heavyweight Championship we're talking about. The story's already written. You don't even have to do anything crazy. It makes sense in storyline. So Sikoa could go for main event Jey Uso, or even Jacob Fatu, the United States Champion. You don't have to write a crazy storyline for it. You don't have to create this crazy twist or anything. It makes sense. It makes sense, and it's not out of place. To me, Solo Sikoa could win it, and I'm not going to hate it. I think, if anything, he really, truly has earned that and deserves it. Truthfully. Two great storylines. I mean, personally, not that I want to see the briefcase be used on a mid-card title, but I'd love to see Solo Sikoa cash in on Jacob Fatu and win the title from Jacob Fatu become the United States champion. Do you know how crazy the crowd would go over that? Like, the crowd would be booing Sikoa like crazy. The cash-in doesn't always need to be cheered for. It could just be like, wow, what? Like, why did you take it away from somebody like Jacob Fatu? Everybody loves him. The story writes itself. It really truthfully does. And that's why he lands in my top 3 best possible Money in the Bank winners. So that leaves me with the top 2. This one I kept going back and forth with. One hand we got LA Knight, yeah. And then we have Grande Americano. Crazy, right? You wouldn't think of somebody like Grande Americano is competing for the top spot here for winning the Money in the Bank, but he is. And here's why. Grande Americano is obviously a masked wrestler. We don't know who he is. Some people even think he might be unmasked here. If he was unmasked, that would be so stupid. The whole curiosity of Grande Americano is a storyline they should hold tightly to, because it's so incredibly great and incredibly intriguing to everybody. Obviously his physique and everything may indicate he is a pro wrestler. We already may know. We can't be certain. We can't be for sure. We can't be 100,000% on that yet. Not until we finally see the man under the mask. We see the face under the mask, right? Here's my thoughts with this one. Grande Americano is somebody that everyone is so intrigued by. So, one, that already sets a great spot for him to win the Money in the Bank briefcase. Everyone's going to be like, what the heck? Like, who is this man? He just came in here out of nowhere and he's winning the Money in the Bank. Are we serious? Grande Americano. Now, hear me out on this one. What if El Grande Americano wins the Money in the Bank, becomes Mr. Money in the Bank, goes on to cash in at the most unexpected time, doesn't matter where, not on a mid-card title, but on a world title? Like, what if El Grande Americano cashed in for the World Heavyweight Championship? I'm just saying. I would love to see El Grande Americano win the title. If the speculations are true that it's actually who we think it is, then absolutely El Grande Americano should win. And here's what I would love about it, right? If he cashes in, he's successful on whatever title. Even if you want to do like a mid-card title, if you want to do the United States Champion, Intercontinental Champion, World Heavyweight Championship, WWE Championship might be a little bit out of reach for this one, but any of those 3, honestly, you could throw him in any of those 3. I think it'd be really cool to see him have the World Heavyweight Championship, but if we could see him win the Money in the Bank, cash in successfully, one of the craziest, most random moments ever, and become a champion, and then he still doesn't unmask himself, that would be freaking awesome. Like, everybody would be talking about, like, who is this man? Like, what the heck is he doing? Why did they give the Money in the Bank to him? Like, guys, imagine if he cashed in on Jacob Fatu. Imagine if he cashed in on somebody even like Dirty Dominic Mysterio. You could even have him cash in on Jey Uso, and he doesn't unmask himself, so we're all wondering, who is this guy? Like, there's no confirmation. And then for some reason, all kind of secretly loving it. Like, let's not forget Chad Gable is biggest fan. I'm just saying, you guys, this could be something, especially with Chad Gable, like, being by his side. And then eventually we get an unmasking of El Grande Americano as a champion after cashing in successfully on the most craziest, randomest time ever. I mean, how thrilled would you guys be if for some reason, somehow, somewhere, El Grande Americano is who we think he is? Don't you guys think that this person deserves the title? You guys all know who I'm talking about. Obviously, I'm talking about Chad Gable. What if El Grande Americano is Chad Gable? And if he is, you guys can't hate that Chad Gable shouldn't have gotten his hands on the Money in the Bank. shouldn't have became Mr. Money in the Bank, shouldn't have won the title. You guys can't argue that. I'm sorry, you can't. That man deserves it. That man has earned the right to that. He has worked his way up. He has worked his butt off to get to where he is. He's incredible in the ring, incredible on the mic. He is an amazing athlete. I mean, he's an Olympian, for crying out loud. If El Grande Americano is really Chad Gable, then yes, absolutely. El Grande Americano is the best possible outcome for this. Hate me for it, love me for it. I don't care. I don't care. That's just how I feel. That's where I feel the most passion and emotion of somebody winning, somebody who's really truthfully earned that spot. That obviously leaves LA Knight at the second best, while El Grande Americano is the number one best outcome for this Money in the Bank briefcase. LA Knight is at my second best because the crowd loves him. You could have LA Knight win and everyone's going to be so thrilled, so happy. The fans are going to be so excited, you know, chanting LA Knight. Yeah, like it would be such a moment that somebody who's also worked his butt off week after week, backstage segments, in the ring, on the mic. He's grown so much as a pro wrestler and as an entertainer and as a sports entertainer. Like, he obviously deserves it too. So that's why I kept going back and forth with these two. It's just the El Grande Americano story has a little bit more intrigue to it. There's a little bit more that could be told with that story, right? LA Knight, yes, he can go on to tell story too. It's just not as intriguing. There might be more of a pop for LA Knight, but in terms of intrigue and everyone wondering and everybody either hating, booing, loving, whatever it is, or guessing, El Grande Americano wins all aspects of the whole story. The whole storyline of winning Money in the Bank. He just does. He makes the most sense. And I would love to see where WWE creatively could create something for El Grande Americano, truthfully. And if not El Grande Americano, then sure, give it to LA Knight. I'm not against that either. Those are two guys that are extremely deserving of it. Obviously, like I said, the third guy is Solo Sikoa. I think my list is pretty fair here, from worst to best, on who can win this Money in the Bank this Saturday night. I'm so thrilled to see what is going to happen. Obviously, this is probably going to be the biggest match of the night, so we shall see what happens. Stay tuned for my next videos coming up about the women's Money in the Bank, worst to best possible outcomes, and I'm also going to do my predictions for the Money in the Bank. Let me know your thoughts on what you think about the men's Money in the Bank match happening this Saturday, and whether you agree or disagree with my thoughts on this, on who's the worst and who's the best possible outcomes to win the Money in the Bank. Is there something I was missing here? Is there a storyline that I just didn't even think of? Please let me know. Thank you so much for joining in today. If you enjoyed this video here, please like and subscribe for more wrestling content with your girl Anna here.